As he faces a criminal investigation of his own, President Trump is calling for the Justice Department to probe the Democratic National Committee. Instead, here's the president speaking about it a short time ago.
You ought to look at Hillary Clinton, and you ought to look at the new book that was just put out by Donna Brazile, where she basically bought the DNC and she stole the election from Bernie. So that's what you ought to take a look at.
Brazile took over the DNC in July of 2016 after Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced out over leaked emails showing her favoritism to Hillary Clinton. She says Clinton tilted the DNC in her favor by helping pay off the committee's debt nearly a year before she received the nomination. Now, the allegations are from a new book by Donna Brazile. Portions of it were published in Politico, and in it she says Hillary Clinton's nomination, quote, compromised the party's integrity. Jeff Weaver was Senator Bernie Sanders' campaign manager, and he joins me now to talk about this. Good to see you again, Jeff.
Hi, Vlad. How are you?
So are you surprised at all by Donna Brazile's allegations?
Well, I think we saw during the campaign there was a pattern of behavior on the part of the leadership of the DNC at that time that heavily favored the Clinton campaign, including the debate schedule, these joint fundraising agreements, the difficulties we had accessing our voter data during a period during the campaign. So it was not surprising that the DNC was acting in favor of Secretary Clinton. I mean, what is surprising, obviously, is that there was a signed document detailing that the Clinton campaign would have control over the DNC, certainly.
So President Trump tweeted earlier today, I always felt I would be running and winning against Bernie Sanders, not crooked H. Without cheating, I was right. If this is true, what Donna Brazile is suggesting in her book, do you think that that's the reason that Senator Sanders didn't get the nomination?
Well, I think it is impossible to know how the campaign would have come out if it had been all on the level. But I will say this, what we do know, and actually one of President Trump's own pollsters recently said this, Bernie Sanders would have beaten Donald Trump hands down. I think all the polling at the time during the primaries was pretty clear. Bernie Sanders would have beaten Donald Trump, but Donald Trump's own pollsters said it. And so Donald Trump did not want to run against Bernie Sanders, believe me.
Were you aware of all this when Senator Sanders endorsed Hillary Clinton? And if so, was that a difficult decision?
No, well, we were obviously aware of the behavior of the DNC at the time. But look, I think if you read the excerpt from Donna Brazile's book, and I do want to compliment Donna Brazile on her courage for bringing this out to the American people. If you read her book, when she tells Senator Sanders about this, his response is, how is Hillary Clinton doing? How is the campaign going? You know, Bernie Sanders is all about moving forward, how we defeat the Republicans, how we bring the party together. And I think what these revelations that Donna Brazile has brought forward give us an opportunity now to heal the wounds in the party, to create the kind of reforms that we need with superdelegates, with opening up the electoral process, and increasing transparency and accountability at the DNC. There is a commission that was formed out of the convention that has Sanders appointees and Clinton appointees on it that are working on these issues. And I would hope that the current chair of the DNC and the executive committee and other members of the DNC would say loudly and clearly that they are going to support the recommendations of this Unity Reform Commission so that we can bring the party together, reestablish faith with the American people, and beat Trump and the Republicans.
So Jeff, then do you support, I'm guessing you probably don't support the president's call for an investigation into this by the Justice Department.
No, this is ridiculous. You know, we have what we have over there at the White House now. We had incompetence. We have a right-wing agenda, and now we look to be having a perpetual perp walk over at the White House. So obviously, he wants to talk about anything but the fact that his campaign or members of his campaign colluded with Russia during the election to deprive the American people of their choice of president. So there's no doubt that the president wants to change the subject. But let's be clear. The issue with the 2016 election that needs to be cleared up is the fact that his folks working in collusion with the Russians acted in a scurrilous way. Some people have called it treasonous. I'm not going to call that here, but other people have called it that in a way to undermine the American democratic process. And he doesn't want to talk about that. That's not a big surprise to me.
There's been a lot of debate, Jeff, as you know, about how Democrats should move forward, in your view, given what you just said about President Trump. Should Democrats, should supporters of Bernie Sanders, moderates in the party, should they all band together and run, if they're running in the midterms, on an anti-Trump message? Or should they think more about just governing and legislating and do, as Nancy Pelosi suggested, I think, sort of be the party of getting things done?
Well, I think what we have to do, I think running just against Trump is not an effective way to get elected. I think we saw that in 2016. Being the anti-Trump is not enough. What people want to know is how you're going to improve the lives of their families, how are you going to improve the lives of working people of all races, how are you going to help the middle class, how you're going to raise up people who are trying to get ahead so they can afford a house, so they can afford a car, so they can afford to send their kids to college, so they can afford even basic health care. That's what we've got to talk about as Democrats, how we move this country forward in a progressive way with a strong message that takes on the billionaire class and returns economic and political power to the vast majority of people in this country. If the Democratic Party is able to do that, and at the same time reform itself for the electoral process so that it reestablishes faith with young people, independent voters, rank and file members of the Democratic Party. If it can do that, we'll beat the Republicans and Trump for sure, hands down. If we can't, if we are not going to be bold in putting forward a positive agenda about how we're going to improve people's lives, they will continue to struggle.
And Jeff, I know you sort of talked a little bit about this, but you talked about it when it first occurred during the campaign, but I don't know if you've spoken to Senator Sanders in the last couple of days. Is he upset about this?
Well, I speak to him almost every day, and I think what he believes is that this is now an opportunity to bring people together, to pass needed reforms to the electoral process, into the Democratic Party itself so that it is more transparent, accountable, and frankly democratic, that we empower the rank and file of the party against party elites, and that folks who are at the top of the party have to understand that this is not a private club. This is a political party designed to elect people to office. The track record over the last 7-10 years has not been good. We have lost 1,000 legislative seats, lost governor's mansions, lost the Congress, lost the White House. So if you are an objective observer, you have to say something is going wrong. And what is wrong is we need a bold, progressive agenda that uplifts all people in this country. And we also need to reform the process and the party so that people have faith that, in fact, it represents the needs of ordinary Americans.
Former campaign manager for Senator Bernie Sanders, Jeff Weaver, thank you, my friend. Always good to have you.
Thank you. My pleasure, Vlad.